Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Spiritual Journey, the TV show, or Spiritual Journey TV, as we called it. Anyway, we are your hosts. This is
Mary Silvernail.
and I'm Thomas Knights Templar, and our guest tonight.
Christine Schiavone.
Tell what you do.
Oh, okay. I do Spiritual Exploration is my show, and you'll see it on Friday nights at 10:30. Spectrum Channel 79, FiOS Channel 35, and also you can find me on YouTube. Go to Spiritual Exploration. I must have over 150 shows over the years. I will be doing my show come August, 25 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Chris. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, it
Wow.
went by fast, let me
Amazing.
tell you.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
And our other
That's
guest.
true. I was trying to remember what year I met you guys to begin with. This must have been, what year was it?
Long
we first
time
started?
ago.
Yeah, I was like, was it 2012 or
I
something?
think Lincoln
Could
was in
be.
office.
Was it? Either way, yeah.
Tell them who you are.
Yes. I've actually been on both their shows for quite a long time here.
That's
so,
right, many
so long,
times.
so long I can't remember exactly.
And you're on Astrology Angels
And
More,
all three,
too,
all three,
right?
All
all
three
three.
shows,
Yeah,
that's
everybody
right.
loves you, Stephen.
We have the trifecta of interesting crew people here. Yeah.
All right, lad, tell them who you are.
Who am I? It depends on the day. No. no.
This is true.
Especially as a double Gemini, no.
You're a double Gemini?
Yeah, sun and
wow.
moon. Sun and moon. Cancer rising.
Okay, well, then you're a Cancer too.
Cancer, exactly.
Can we get to
Cosmic
this?
mystic, I would say I would call myself. I work with like a cosmic shamanism system, teach workshops in the past on Kabbalah, Egyptian mysticism, planetary good work, ascension work, a lot of different conspiracy areas on like mind control technologies, secret space program, information, star seeds, a lot of different areas. But I work with clients individually in sessions, help them tap into past lives, clear out different negative blockages from their field, especially in the more out there esoteric domain that we'll be talking with today. Soul retrieval, help star people connect to their galactic selves, and on and on and on. But
And
a little synopsis.
Amazing.
Fix broken
Absolutely
knees.
amazing.
Yes.
You know a lot of stuff, Stephen.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Very interesting
Yeah, definitely.
to listen to you speak. Well, it's the name of the show is Current Events, right? The Galactic Current Events. What would you say is going on galactically right now that's really important?
Well, I guess for me, in terms of our reference point, like more about the galactic events that are converging here, right, from our point of view.
Yes.
I mean, one thing I specialize in is also trying to expose more of the blockages and more of the negative groups that are interfering with some of the smoother timelines that we're trying to create here in terms of our Earth ascension, humanity's ascension, and so that we can kind of be like the sentries at the gate of the castle of Mother, Father, Earth, and be able to call in properly some of the higher light armies, higher divine galactic beings, who also work with the angelic kingdoms here, to kind of report some of the specific injustices that are going on, so that they can be let in more, because you have negative people who call in the negative forces. So you need to have positive star people who do the same thing. So there's a bit of that divine justice idea of like, how can we clear some of the obstacles and from the collective psyche and from the auric field of the Earth. So what we found is that what I've been doing a lot more of, though, is finding out that pretty much every week, every 2 weeks, there's a different negative geometric grid that's being placed around the Earth that we have to go work on to transmute and deconstruct it. So that's like one thing going on, because these negative galactic ETs are trying to link the environment of the Earth more to their dark home worlds, and so the negative geometries they're creating are trying to are using technology from their home world to try to link Gaia's environmental elements to their elements and their planet. So, like, for example, having a negative cube around the Earth from transmitters that are being broadcast from, say, 4 locations, as one example, they were trying to like ground more of the negative Earth element from their planet, because the cube represents the Earth element. And then the recent work we did for this summer solstice, that's a longer thing we can go into as well.
Just yesterday.
Just yesterday, there was a negative icosahedron, which in the sacred geometry represents the water element. that was being put around the Earth by a negative serpent ET group, who is known as like the Apophis or the APEP group from the Egyptian terminology. But they were broadcasting from 3 locations globally that we had to call in a lot of help to deconstruct and intervene to clear it out, to make room for the good energies.
All these guys that are coming in now, like I call them backdoor. They like get on the coattails of another group that started something else and they filter in quietly, okay? Like the ones that he can tell you later.
Yeah.
Anyway, are they interdimensional? Because the reason why I'm asking this is because, like, when I see, like, there's this quest for all these different things that we have on this earth that seems to be there and then gone. And because nobody's ever found one, like, I don't want to say a Yeti, a Bigfoot, whatever it is, but, these 3 here, they never find them.
How do you know?
More like they do, but they don't disclose. I mean, well, now you have even disclosure in the government going on.
Yeah,
with
now
these
the
former
government's
military
actually
officials,
saying
like
that,
David Grush and Colonel Kell, was it?
But
Colonel
are
Mel?
they
I think they find them.
galactic too?
Wait, now you lost me the last part.
We were talking about a Bigfoot, a Yeti, or something.
Oh, well, no, then you're mixing different things in there.
Well, I just wanted to know if that's part of it because they don't seem to be there and vanish.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because there are multidimensional things that are happening simultaneously along with the physical realm.
Yeah.
So in the Law of One books, which I always recommend everybody, there were a bunch of books channeled back in late '70s, early '80s. But to me, there's some of the best channel material about understanding dimensional evolution and connecting the idea of chakras, the rays of each chakra, and relating it to stages of what planets go through and their evolutionary development, and souls go through the different rays of that rainbow. And they kind of refer to them as like the densities instead of dimensions. There's a little different term.
Right.
But they had mentioned about the Bigfoot, because I don't have any personal experience with the Bigfoot. I never really channeled it. But it has come in. I've only had the Bigfoot spirit come in for maybe 2 clients over the years.
What?
The Bigfoot. He mentioned about the Bigfoot.
You mean Bigfoot, like out in the forest?
Yeah. And,
The big furry guy, he's on the Geico commercials.
But I mean, they mentioned that in the Raw Law of One books that there were 3 different types of Bigfoot creatures. One that originally came from Maldek, which was the planet that was in between Mars and Jupiter that blew up. Yeah. And that when they reincarnated, they incarnated in that form, which was for different reasons. And then there was 2 other kinds. One that was more like a thought form that could dematerialize and materialize.
They say they can go between dimensions.
They call
really
those
what I think.
skinwalkers. They call
Can
them
they do
skinwalkers
that?
that do that.
Well, the skinwalkers relate more to with different like Native American tribes, especially out in the Southwest, refer to them, and that's kind of part of like the werewolf story, or like the dog humanoid, or it's usually in their story, with the Navajo Indians and those groups out there. There's a lot of run-ins. I had a weird experience with one type of creature like that was appearing with a few of us out in New Mexico years ago. That shapeshifted and pretended to be my friend's dog. It looked identical to my friend's dog, and was trying to come into the circle, and it was pretending to be wounded and like acting as if he was wounded. And we were with a Native American local who was hosting a campsite there out in New Mexico by the just like north of Albuquerque and the what is it again? There's a sacred site there where the Pueblo Indians where there was specific structures that were lined up to Sirius star system.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I had an experience with the shape-shifting with a Native American chief into the wolf. Yeah, that was many years ago. That was like in the late 1990s, early 2000s. And that was some tremendous experience that I have never forgotten. No, actually, I felt so good.
Really?
I didn't feel
Did he full on
any
become
fear.
like that, or was it like
beautiful? Yeah, and what I was getting was tremendous wisdom from the. I mean, it was all good.
Was it like Wolfman or like wolf full bipedal, like? Or
No,
like an
completely
Anubis?
into the wolf and walked away.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. Yeah,
Which-
no, I'm not kidding.
Which tribe? You remember? Was he from? Was it one of the southwestern ones?
No. This was actually up in New York State.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, but that was so. No, my husband is 1/4 Onondaga,
Oh, okay.
and no, not Onondaga. Trying to remember what I don't remember, but that was a tremendous experience that I've never let go of, never forgot.
I imagine. Yeah, you would have that.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
of course.
wonderful.
That's,
So
Not
I mean,
something that happens every day.
No,
That
it
sounds
isn't,
more- and that's more
what I
positive.
said. So I mean, are you saying there was no evil in that whatsoever? I was given
felt good.
tremendous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
wisdom.
that sounds more.
That-
That's like the exact opposite. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
'cause
Okay.
these
So
other
that's
ones
what I
were-
was
were-
trying to understand.
Yeah, these are more like the traditional ones that people talk about out there in Southwest, where they were. It's more common on native reservations where they would run into some of these shamans that, from what I was told by them, they were more of the darker ones that had to do some type of sacrifice in order
we were
to
up in
get
a
that
fire.
power.
Yeah, we were up in a
Yeah.
fire ceremony.
But of course, you could have, I'm sure that that's a positive idea. If,
Okay,
especially
yeah, that was a
astro-related.
good thing.
That's different. What
That
you're
was a good.
experiencing.
Oh, good.
This-
Okay, so you're talking about
Well, this is one because even the native women
Negative?
the native out there had fights with them, like literally had even like pulling guns, being chased by them down the street. in the
oh
car.
my
Right?
goodness,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, like
See, now I
more like the
wasn't
bigger
aware
ones.
of that.
Yeah, no, they actually they're much more open talking about that out there. But ours wasn't as dramatic. It was more like I said, it was trying to mimic the dog we were with, that my friend was with, and what made it even crazier is I left the conversation with my two friends. One friend with me was half Native American. He's talking to the other native who's the host of the campsite. But it was like middle of the night. I'm tired. I start feeling the energy getting weird. We saw like a trippy little high flying saucer high above us fly
My
by.
goodness.
So I'm like, I'm gonna go to bed now
Out in that part of the world, yes.
and like sleep in the back of the van, in the back of the van. Then I go out of body when I fall asleep, and I start seeing something coming towards us, and then I hear a scream, and then I got slapped back on my body, and then that's when my two friends were freaking out, and the native guy, because of the dog, was coming there, but he didn't realize that their pet was actually inside. So, and then the native guy is like, "Oh, don't go near him because that's actually a skinwalker." And they have to be invited, so they have to pretend
Yes.
to be something they're not in order to
Right.
invite them closer. Then they can get bigger and be scary and not do so.
Yes.
So we called it out. Then the dog that pretended to be wounded stopped, and he just got up and he just looked and started growling, and then walked away. And
It's skinwalker.
He knew he was busted.
Yeah, he knew he was busted, exactly.
Interesting, huh?
But there are also canine extraterrestrial groups too. And you also have the thing in Egypt with Anubis, with the jackal
The
head.
Anubis,
so,
yeah. That was just
there is a group from Procyon, which is in Canis Minor, which is right near Canis Major, which is also referred to as the dog star Sirius, right?
Yes.
There's more humanoid groups in there.
How do you feel about Sirius?
Sirius A is positive and has really beautiful energies in terms of civilizations. There's a planet in Sirius B, which orbits it, that is a very high-level dark group, negative group from Sirius B that has one of the bloodlines from the Illuminati families goes through there from someone I knew who was directly connected to that
right.
years ago. Mentioned that, and we've had a lot of clients that work on clearing them from the negative ET groups from Series B. And the Series B group, they're just like the Romulans from Star Trek. If you people into Star Trek, they look like the Romulans. They act like them. So if you mix like Roman Empire with like CIA and Men in Black vibe, it's them. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're involved in a lot of the time projects. A lot of.
How do you protect yourself when you're working with these people?
Oh yeah,
when
I mean,
you're
I still
doing
I
this?
still get hits, but but I can clear it faster. That's also been like a learning curve over the years. Especially because there are new groups that have come in that I've worked with. When I worked on some people recently, they were new to me. Other negative ET groups I never saw before. They were smaller on the scale of total pole of power, but they're still here working at different defense contractor bases. And I was like, who is that group? And this clients had been affected by them or had past life connections with them. And that's a big part of the Star People network I work with is this expanded idea that a lot of galactic people that are here in human bodies on a soul level, a certain amount of them have had negative
hybrids?
No, just incarnated.
Just
incarnated.
Okay.
Yeah, have had certain number of them had negative lifetimes off world that were more like infiltration lifetimes. So say for example you had Andromedan lineage, and the Andromedans were looking for certain souls to infiltrate a specific negative extraterrestrial group, and to get more intel on them, to get more light into that dark collective. So they ask for volunteers. So there's a whole other level of Star People that have these volunteer deep infiltration, deep cover lifetimes. But they also can create karma from that, and it creates a lot of residual waves. So
Can I ask a question?
Sure, yeah, and that's a whole topic.
Sorry, yeah, but which group do you feel is creating the most negative energy that's happening. Look at, I mean, in the world, it's tremendous amount of negative energy, you know, that's happening throughout the world, not just
Yeah.
in our country.
No,
I mean,
no,
throughout
no.
our. Okay, which one would you say is really responsible for that?
It's definitely.
Mostly.
I'm gonna say there's definitely multiple vectors from several groups that are combined together
Right.
to create it.
Reptilians.
But there definitely is, like I've talked about this before on the show with the Set group from Orion,
Yes.
or Set or Sutek or that's the one from the Egyptian mythology who killed Osiris. But you know, he's really the leader of of what they call the Orion Empire. Many different groups refer to it as that. When I've seen him as energy, he's the highest on the dark side you can go, like -6-dimensional, and he would be like part of a Galactic Dark Council. Think of like the Illuminati families of governing different parts of the earth. They're like a galactic version of that, where he would be the leader of this larger Galactic Dark Council. And there is one other being higher above him that I've seen. That's the longest we're going to. But the main ones that are creating trouble, his group, his empire has controlled a lot of planets across the galaxy, and so you'll have representations of them here that are creating a lot of drama. And we've been working on and off on counteracting that group for a long time, because they have covens here. They have, you know, one of the other insiders I knew years ago who had connections to the Illuminati groups had said that they had whole temples, the Illuminati, dedicated to Set and worshiping Set, you know, in different locations. And even the public covens that work with the Temple of Set, I mean, they have a website, you know, that they'll mention so many horrible things on their website about what they're involved with in different suborders, or including Order of the Vampire, and with like Beelzebub and Knights of the Black Flame, where they have to dedicate their lifetimes to Set, to serving him after this life. They mention that directly on their page.
You were talking about
these are humans working with dark ritual that are serving these negative extraterrestrials.
The stupid humans.
Yeah, there's plenty of them out there, unfortunately.
Listen,
I'll bet, yeah.
if you're getting all the stuff that they're getting, if you're getting all the perks of being on the dark side, doing that, you know, look at these people. They have public service jobs, and they're all millionaires. How? How is that?
Yeah,
Who's
well-
supplying this?
Exactly.
Who's pulling the strings?
What
Well,
about
that's it.
the
And the thing about the Set group also is that, you know, there's bigger things we need to do more work on. Is that they're really trying to, his group, the negative Nordic ET group that works with the Apophis Serpent ET group, they're another big one. They're all pushing for alien invasion timeline scenarios, where they've actually invaded other timelines of Earth, other Earths and other timelines, and they're trying to bring that energy here so that they could fully come out in the public more and take over. Of course, this is
What are
not
they doing? Like a
I mean,
Mandela effect on everything and changing the history?
kind of this idea.
That's what they've been trying to do, change the history.
But what they need is that they need our energy to do it. This is why, so when I see all these clients coming in with this the past couple of years, they all have cords and implants in their field that I see every day, but the negative ET groups are using that, are trying to use people's energy as building blocks for their negative timeline, and to create thought forms that are further used to oppress and enhance those negative groups' presences on the inner planes, like their astral temple, their astral fortress. And so that way they can infiltrate the mind and of humanity stronger.
You see so much mind stuff now as hypnotists. We see it. We see it, you know, like bombardment on all the media.
Oh,
On all the media. I mean, if you go and you go,
It's true.
this channel, propaganda. That channel, propaganda. Every single one.
ridiculous, right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
also you can tell who the reptilians are.
Oh,
I don't mean to
absolutely.
really
You can
get.
see it.
Yeah, maybe you could go a little bit more into that
Yeah,
if you don't
yeah,
mind, because
sure.
I know a lot of people really would like to understand that.
Yeah.
Which part about the reptilians?
Reptilians,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Because aren't they pretty prevalent?
Yeah.
You think?
They're still they are definitely, but I mean that's why a lot of times they'll be pushed out in the forefront in order to kind of cover the tracks of the other groups. So it's kind of like everybody
So they're
blames
taking it
them
on the chin for everybody else.
Yeah,
in order
see?
to cover tracks of the higher adepts.
Well, you
that are behind
mentioned
them.
that Southern Cross thing
Yeah,
last time.
Southern Cross with the Beelzebub
When
group.
we were
yeah.
talking about that, you and I,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, I had mentioned, because we were talking about that, and I said to all the bases that are underground are right along the 39th parallel.
And
that goes-
33rd too.
that goes right through Kansas, right out that way. And what did you tell me the other night when you were doing the healing on the lake?
Oh yeah, you should share a story about
They're
your
out,
leg.
they're
Yeah.
out of Kansas. I said, oh, look at this.
That-
when
that-
you
that could be a
expose
fun-
them, they don't like it that much.
That
do
could be
they?
a fun segue. One wants to talk about reptilian, then we could go into that group. That'd be a nice little segue. Yeah, I mean, from what I've tracked in terms of more like the local, because I have clients different countries, not just in the U.S. But obviously a preponderance of them are in the U.S. or in Western Europe. So I see more of the facilities here than I do in other places, except when we do group grid work, we have to track locations globally that these negative ETs are oftentimes working with different local governments or defense contractors that are hosting them in facilities with the technology. So I'll do remote viewing with that, or be shown by the guides where we need to focus on. And then that becomes like the target list for us to call in the good guys to go in there and kind of
clean it
I
up.
have, I have a question for you.
So reptilians, so one of their main bases in the U.S., though, they have many bases around the country, but their main headquarters is in Colorado Springs area.
Oh, really?
Yeah, along with the negative, like Nordic ETs. They
I
also
have
are there
heard
too.
that.
Their headquarters is there
I
too.
have definitely heard
Colorado
that.
Springs in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado.
I didn't
Colorado
know that.
Springs,
Yeah.
Denver. There's such amazing, creepy things going on there. Aurora, Colorado's got some of the creepiest defense contractors doing some of the most nastiest things, and that people can barely imagine is going on out there too.
Nice.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Unfortunately.
Have you ever heard of CERN, C-E-R?
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
you
It's
know
in
what that
Switzerland.
is.
Sure, sure.
Yes,
Okay.
Collider.
And do you feel that it's true that there's like 17 dimensions that's going on beneath that? What is your opinion on that?
I mean,
Somebody asked me to ask you this question.
Sure. One thing that happens when you have to, one thing to understand about, especially the particle accelerators that are circular, like they do in CERN. We have a smaller one we have out here in Long Island, and in Brookhaven National Laboratories, they have a small particle accelerator. It's very powerful. But Brookhaven was working with the Montauk Project. And was continuing the work after Montauk was shut down officially in terms of time travel, parallel reality travel.
They do all the biological stuff out there.
That also too. Yeah, no, there was I can't remember his name.
Hard
now,
Island.
There was somebody I did know who had a friend that was that a scientist that worked at CERN, not worked at CERN, that worked at the Brookhaven one as a visitor scientist from Europe that did work at CERN, and he had told her that they just admitted to her about the Montauk project was being continued at Brookhaven, and that he was couldn't talk about it, and that he was involved in research with that, and he said that if anything happens to him, it's because of this. And a week later, he dies in a plane crash. That was going back. This is back in the 90s. Yeah. So the stuff, so there are connections where the accelerators are built is not by accident. For long ago, I started mapping out geometrically certain things, ratios between the distances between certain particle accelerators, and there were certain numbers that were coming up.
So you think they're working in cahoots?
There's a certain number of them they're definitely creating a harmonic relationship between locations, especially if you triangulate them, things like that.
Yeah, because the one's on the Swiss border.
So the one that's the biggest one, the CERN one she's talking about, and but the principle I wanted to mention was that so in a circular accelerator, so one day a year in Brookhaven, you can actually go out there to the particle accelerator. It's open, you can go inside it, and there's some tour guides that are scientists there.
You know what? This reminds me. It was a '60s show, and I know you ladies would understand that. Right? It was the time tunnel.
Yeah, the time tunnel.
Oh my God, I
Remember
forgot
that?
about
And
that.
the time tunnel was exactly what
That's
you're
exactly
saying.
real.
And every time, that's when
right.
when I first learned about the CERN,
It's the spiral tunnel.
I was seeing that spiral tunnel.
That's one of the time travel technologies.
that?
Is literally through a spiral.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. No. That's a whole other
Oh,
story.
I remember the time
Oh
tunnel.
my God.
That was
So-
a great show.
It sure was.
But so
James Darren.
I used to watch it.
so in a circular one, so when I went out to
When I was a
Brookhaven
kid.
to the accelerator, I asked the scientists, I'm like, look, because they're all trying to downplay what happens there with the energy. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, first off, if you're spinning particles at the closest speed of light in a circle, which is a toroidal field in a donut shape, I said even with basic Einstein stuff, you're going to create in the center of that toroidal field is going to be a time dilation effect where time slows down in the middle of that point.
Yep.
And he just kind of looked at me, the scientist, the tour guide scientist, goes, yeah, it does, but I was like, well, can I go outside and just see what's in the middle of this accelerator on the ground, on the surface?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, no, you can't do that. And he pointed to the camera. He pointed to the camera. He goes, this is still a defense facility.
See.
And I was like, oh, so you're answering my
See.
question. This is more going on than you're telling me. I'm saying same thing in CERN. A bigger radius, larger sphere, so you're definitely creating temporal distortion effects in the center, especially.
Yeah.
And then
It's funny that happens to be in a certain place that's supposed to be, all right,
Neutral.
neutral.
it's more like the headquarters of
I know.
you
Illuminati.
know what I would say about
Switzerland
that.
is like the
I'm
headquarters,
keeping up.
headquarters of the New World
Listen,
Order Illuminati groups.
Well, yes, they Davos.
Yeah.
That's the place where they all hang out.
So in the center of CERN, because I talked about this in some of my YouTube videos about this other negative parallel reality I also talked about the show before here, called Trinicon, where Atlantis
Yeah, I
didn't
remember you
sink,
said
was
that,
owned by the
yeah.
light. Well, sorry, Atlantis sink was owned by the dark. And that some of the timelines that negative ET groups are trying to create is to make us be closer to that negative parallel reality. And what they had shown me was that in the middle of CERN, but in this parallel reality, there's another device there that's spherical. And it goes by a different name, but it works across realities to interface with CERN here. So they're braiding between the two parallel realities during certain times.
But
Why?
isn't the
Why?
one?
Because they're trying to make that reality closer to here, and they're trying to create more openness because they have portals open to that reality, parallel Earth, in different locations. And that's, I was taken there during part of I had a military abduction, which I talk about in some of the other videos too, back in the late 90s, and there's a portal there, physical one, upstate New York by Bowman Lake, which is like 40 minutes, it's about 10 minutes outside of like Norwich, New York, like 40 minutes away from like Binghamton. It's an artificial lake there, but there's a very creepy underground facility underneath that man-made lake there that's doing a lot of horrifying things to people.
Wow.
And and they have a physical portal there. General Electric is actually running part of that. GE is heavily involved in
You
this
better
shit,
believe
this
it.
stuff.
I'm not
They've been
surprised.
involved in
GE, the
military
Defense
stuff.
Intelligence Agency, DARPA, but definitely up there is like GE, DIA, NSA has got stuff, and there's-
BlackRock.
and there, well, not up there, not this facility, but yes, but there's a portal there. There's also another one in Texas by one of the military bases in
Fort
Worth,
Eustis.
Fort Worth area. One now, if you go look at the opposite side of the world, what's opposite Switzerland is down off is New Zealand. So there is they like to work with these nodes and anti-nodes. So opposite CERN is going to be just off the coast of New Zealand, where there is another actual undersea facility. They have a portal there to this parallel reality as well.
See?
So they end up
Wow.
creating things on opposite sides of the earth.
Unbelievable.
So we're not only fighting them galactically,
Yeah.
but interdimensionally. Because I saw something like one of them shows that was saying that that what we see here, the triangular ships and things like that, these are all Oz, just advanced in the other dimensions.
Oh, well, there's even physical. Just that
That's what I'm
but they
saying,
have a
yeah.
the cloaking technology, the camouflage. Yeah,
Yeah, but
a
I
lot of them
don't
use
know
plasma. Well, I wouldn't say
I don't think all of them.
No, all of them. No.
Excuse me, Stephen, do you think that this stuff could account for the disappearances of airplanes and ships?
Oh, I mean, some of them. It depends. There are all the ones that are going to go through portals that are like formed from different scenarios, like with the Bermuda Triangle. It's supposed to be connected to an ancient Atlantean pyramid that's buried underneath the ocean seafloor there. And there's a bunch of them across the Caribbean as well. But that one's supposed to be active and creating a portal that moves around. And that's fun because a lot of one books actually
You got
mention about
Alaska
that too.
Triangle too. That's
There's lots
pretty
of,
bad.
like the Devil's Triangle. There's a bunch of places where they're natural or unnatural, depending upon ancient technology that was there from old civilizations that are having impact as well. There are natural portals that open up that just have to do with Gaia's relationship to as she moves around the galaxy with the solar system. There's fifth dimensional structures that kind of open up spaces between worlds, as well.
And that move. Nothing is stationary.
Exactly.
Okay, nothing.
And there are other ones that there are people that are abducted, of course, too. I mean,
Yes.
a tremendous amount. But there's a lot of people that are, also returned, but don't realize they came back programmed. That's a problem, or implanted by these government people and ET
I don't want to
groups.
scare
over the
anybody,
years.
but I mean, you
No,
go to
they
bed
don't
at
do
night
that.
and-
No.
No, of course,
you
yes.
go to
They
bed
don't
at
do
night
that, no.
wake
Oh, and I mean, their technology is much more advanced, so they can do it, and they can bring you back in time, drop you off, and even though you were gone for a while, just you're dropped off a few minutes after you're taken. I mean, I work with clients with that feel too, and that's stuff I was exposed to that years ago, and got confirmation on it.
What do they call it? Time loss?
Yeah.
Time loss
Yes.
recovery and hypnosis.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing. They got more
Well,
advanced, so now it's not
I've
even like you don't even know it's missing time because then they're putting they end up blank slating you like Men in Black style, and then they put false memory overlays in that, and then but you still feel something could be off there, or have subconscious things surfacing in dreams, or feeling like you're being imprisoned or experimented on, things like that can surface.
Well, I've had clients like that psychiatrists and therapists have sent to me that, had been abducted. And this isn't like a big part of my practice. It's
Sure.
a very tiny part
Yeah,
of
yeah,
my
yeah.
practice. But, I mean, some that really remember, and especially, being a hypnotherapist, it's kind of like when you're sitting there and you're listening to this experience as it's being,
Wow, it's heavy. It's heavy.
unveiled, very heavy energy.
When you're doing
Yeah.
clearing of somebody, or you're regressing them a little bit, right? do these ET attachments ever come through and speak
yeah.
to you?
Oh, I've been attacked by them on a regular basis. Yeah.
From the person?
Well, the ones that are harassing the person more
Oh, the
so.
ones that harass, yeah.
Attacked how?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I mean,
you're
well,
interfering. That's why.
Yeah. But especially people that are in the military abduction programs, that have alter personalities that have attacked me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they've come
How do
through
they
to
attack
activate
you?
it.
Physically?
Psychically. Yeah.
Psychically?
Yeah, those types. I mean, I've had different defense contractors that are involved in this military abduction field. I mean, they're constantly monitoring like auric fields of populations and trying to create a certain conditioned parameter because it's all about trying to control our evolution. So they've just gotten so out of hand with their technology, trying to micromanage parameters of how people's consciousness can
They're
evolve.
working against each other. Like, there's so many different groups that are vying for different positions. Isn't it affecting each one of them negatively? They're not being able to get what they want because this one interferes, that one interferes.
Part of the entropy of competition of negative sides.
Is there going to be some kind of interplanetary?
Some of it. Sometimes it happens for sure, and that's why what I've seen. There's a few different competing negative ET timelines where they're trying to invade simultaneously. So the set group is one, and there's a certain number of defense contractors and other secret groups that the defense contractors have that I call different time bureaus. There are different groups within it that they're because when the shadow government groups in the intelligence community understood about time travel and time manipulation, they kind of formed a whole other community around that technology. But because one group didn't want the other group to have unless they had it, so everybody wanted a piece of the same pie, So that's where you get into like competing agendas, where they start to like step on each other's toes, or everyone's trying to like change this timeline at the same time, and they're screwing things up. Then they realize they have to stop, and they have to get a bigger oversight organization that could monitor these different groups' activities.
If they're all negative, it would seem to me, all right, if I'm trying to take over this, and this one wants to take over that with me, or this one, if they joined forces.
Yes. Well, that's why I said
for the same agenda.
Yeah, but they all want to be, But everybody wants to rule the world.
There is a pecking order, though, because that's why I said set group is the highest level of the tier, so they have an umbrella of worlds they control out of a planet out of several planets in Orion and the star Saif, which is like the right knee area of Orion, if that's a figure. Other planets in Orion are beautiful and amazing, positive civilizations that are countering Set's activity. But every planet I've seen in that one star system where Set is at is a different negative ET group.
I call it Archangel Orion.
Then the angels step in. Okay, so it isn't all negative because we have Yeah.
And I know, and Andromedans are coming in all the time.
There's constantly a war going on up there. No, seriously, right?
And the Andromedans are coming in every time we work. Like they're the first group. There's a huge Andromedan alliance of many, many worlds that have sent out representatives to help the Milky Way be liberated, basically. And so we're talking like huge numbers. And so they're coming into the Earth.
Coming up.
That's what I'm saying. So, but the Andromedans are more proactive than a lot of our local galactic groups are. Like they don't mind getting their hands dirty and kicking butt and like getting in here and like certainly needs to be done. So they're the first ones. One of the phrases we call them is the Andromedan Starheart Infinity Defense League. Andromedan Starheart Infinity Defense League is how they like to be referred to that. Yeah, Andromedan Starheart.
Yeah,
so you can add that to your invocation when you're doing prayer when you're giving front of ask positivities. Where you say, I call upon the Andromedan Starheart Infinity Defense League to send their ships, their fleets to bless, protect my space, bless different parts of the Earth.
Text me that.
I
have it on my phone.
They're the first ones. Every group work I do, they're the first ones to show up to be sent to all these different sites. So they're the first ones that want to go kick out the negative groups. And from Saturn too. We call them the Saturn Starheart emissaries.
I've done a little work with
Pleiadians, Arcturians too.
Pleiadians and Arcturians, mainly Arcturians.
They alternate now. So like last night with solstice, we had a group from the Pleiadians come in from Alcyone. So, I always use the word Starheart. I've talked about before in other shows too in front of it as part of the call. That's to do with the evolution of the heart chakra and opening up more space to receive love from these other star systems. So they'd like to be designated with the word Starheart in front of it. So it'll be like Pleiadian Starheart emissaries of Isis or Pleiadian Starheart emissaries of Alcyone.
Yes,
so
because of all the word. Any word is a vibration, and that's why I wanted to ask you one other question because I know our audience has questions for you too, Stephen, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. What do you think of the coordination of sound and frequency as it relates to light and energy? Is that all right? That was the only other. Remember, I told you there was two questions for somebody.
The very first part of the sentence.
Okay.
What is the correlation?
So, What do you think
Yeah.
of coordination of sound and frequency as it relates to light and energy?
Yeah, I mean that's everything really.
Yeah, it
I mean,
is, right?
That's
know.
like basic building blocks of the universe,
Yeah.
or sound and light, and like archetypes, that are part of the divine blueprint of the Creator that are on the different planets. That's all frequency based, right? And sound and light are harmonics. If you're going higher up overtones, higher up the scales, if you're multiplying the frequency, right, you're going to eventually get to stuff that'll be present in light. So light. One good example of that, there was a friend. One of my scientist friends, he had a scientist, well, they're a whole little network of these underground scientists, but one of his friends that's in that same kind of underground circle, he discovered something years ago he made where he was burning, say like for example, like vitamin C or something, for example, like the tablet. He basically was taking the spectral signature of each, because every time you burn something, right, there's certain structures that are created in light. If you want to measure, so like the heat pattern coming off a flame, you're burning something, it's going to create a certain spectrum, right? Bright lines, narrow lines, different colors that are more emphasized. It's like the rainbow signature that's present within everything that you.
What would be his
have.
reason for that?
Well, the thing is that he was decoding that when he was burning it and using the infrared signature, analyzing the infrared pattern that was coming off a given substance. He discovered a certain algorithm and made a program out of it to convert that frequency of the infrared, the heat pattern, into sound. And then when you're exposed to, say, the pure sound of vitamin C, all of a sudden you start tasting vitamin C in your mouth.
Yes.
Oh,
So literally he was able.
Yes,
So he's literally showing
I've
you
heard
that.
of this.
So this guy was a genius with that stuff. I don't know what happened to him, but he discovered that with many different things. If you understand their innate makeup, which goes back to light, and then sound together in that
See, what
literally
they do with the
harmonics.
sound,
So it's fascinating. So literally how everything is
I
compressed
was
light and
watching
sound.
something with Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Cool.
Beautiful, right?
Thank you.
With Dr. Wayne Dyer, he did something like that, and it was a prayer or something that he turned the phrasing, it was in Hebrew, to particular sounds, and then played them harmonically.
Yes.
And it was really interesting. I was saying, but
That sounds like stuff in the
you
Great
would
Pyramid.
not think, the average person would not think that your words could be written melodically.
Yes, yes.
And used to do other things.
Like the overtones of Tibet monks.
Yes.
Well, look at Om. Okay,
Speaking
when you
about
go into
Tibetan.
an Om,
That loops back to your question too. It's
right,
all sound
exactly.
of the universe is all.
And
all
she
the
only had
mythologies.
one singing lesson.
Oh no, I sing better than that.
Okay.
I
The
do.
relationship
I
with the
couldn't help
chakras,
it.
with sound and light. I mean, we're walking examples of that, right? Sound and light in our chakras all relate to frequencies of color and mantras and sound.
Well, that's
Exactly.
what-
Cymatics, geometry that's created by sound, and then you can
the
create.
healing decibels that they're doing now that can heal almost anything. Frequency,
Megahertz.
sound, megahertz.
Yeah.
I used to listen to it first, like in these.
Pulsing plasma, electromagnetic waves are impulsed at different frequencies. Same thing, can create a lot of healing effect.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Can
thank
be
you
used the other
for-
way around too. It can be used to hurt
thank
people
you
too.
for answering.
Use
So
the wrong
what-
frequencies, you
That's
program
that
people.
thing up there, up in
Upstate New York.
no,
Experience.
not only that. The one in Alaska that they use
A harp.
harp to change the weather.
Yeah.
There's so
microwaves,
so many people in Alaska that go missing for no reason.
Oh yeah. Well, I did have a client years ago that was who I don't say it's the type of role. I don't want to track it back, but this person had access to certain facilities, and his job was to travel around to certain military facilities and work with certain military people. And he was in Alaska. He was stationed out there, and there were a couple people out there that were his clients, and they were really upset because they were Air Force personnel that were working at the HARP facility, and they were like, we don't know why we're being told by our superiors to keep doing this horrible weather warfare against our own country. And they're so upset because psychologically they're being very distressed. And we don't want to keep making horrible weather for our own people, but we're not being told why we're doing it. We're just being told to do it. And so but it's happening in multiple occasions, but that was one grounded story where it's like they were hands-on in there doing it, and they were being told to do it by the Air Force, So
that makes perfect sense to me. It's the diversion and misinformation. Okay, they have used on us plasma weapons, that energy weapons. Okay, and they come from all over the place, not only here in Earth, but space.
Yep.
And they're being directed at us.
And part of that stuff of like them, using destructive weather patterns aside from war, countries fighting each other, soft war, China making hurricane here, we're making a typhoon over there. You see these tit for tat weather patterns that happen. But aside from that, they're also just trying to, on one level, distort the narratives and make people afraid of being safe on the earth, making weather patterns more extreme and blaming everything, using climate change as the ultimate escape route or the scapegoat for weather engineering. That's also trying to make people think that, the earth is in danger. She's like, you can't feel safe outside because everything is too intense. Everything is either too hot, too cold, the shaking fires. And so they want to unground people from the elemental kingdoms. That's why the negative ETs are trying to put negative elemental energies, because if you're out of your center or not grounded and you're disconnected from above by chemtrails and other things going on and nanobots and the recent activities of the jabs, and there's a lot of things they're trying to create to disconnect people from their alignment.
Very logical.
Yeah, it really is. Very strategic.
I know. I mean, you get into all these details, but the truth of the matter is it's extremely logical.
George Carlin, remember him?
Yeah.
Comedian? He said, he goes, they're talking about global warming, all this stuff. He says, we've been here 100 million years. Mankind's been on this earth maybe 200,000 years. You're going to tell me in all that time, meteors, comets, everything that hit this earth, and we're only bad now?
Yeah.
Okay, because some cow was in the woods farting out there? He goes, you telling me this is causing all the problems?
Yeah.
When you look at it, he is absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because then there was another guy, he turned around and he said, I remember when I was a little boy, when it came to summer, it was hot. And some southern summers were hotter than others.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been that way. Now, we've gained a degree, And what?
Yeah.
100 million years? We gained 1 degree? It's such a process of using that as a diversion for something else.
Well, and also trying to distort the actual physical changes that are natural happening in the earth that are part of Gaia's ascension, because she's a living, breathing being. She's not just a victimized mother figure, but she's going through Kundalini shifts and plasma. Her core is actually super condensed plasma, so there is literally like an inner sun inside the Earth's core that some scientists are talking about, other ones don't want to look at it, but other ones do talk about it, and we see it psychically. There is that geometric metallic stuff there, but inside it is really the super dense plasma, and that's part of her inner heart. Literally, the inner sun core of the Earth is evolving and is stepping up its vibrations. That's literally so going from yellow to green ray. So literally, the plasma core of the Earth is supercharging, getting influenced by the gravity and the plasma from the sun and from the galactic center, from this big gas cloud that our solar system is going into, that the scientists called the local bubble.
Is that the central sun?
No, well, the central sun is the center of the galaxy, but there's so many things happening astronomically, and also Gaia's magnetic field, planetary, has been shifting and moving. The magnetic north pole has been shifting very fast. The decreasing strength of the magnetic pole, all that affects weather. All that affects our consciousness. So so of course pollution is bad. I don't want to make this in left-right, because some people try to make climate stuff into like a left versus right issue, which is part of how they divide people. So I want to make it important for people to understand who our viewership. This is not about politics. It's not about left or right. This is about understanding that there's a controlled narrative to distort the truth and put in misinformation to lead towards fake solution that the elite want us to go towards.
To create the division.
Yes, and to create division and fight each other. Because obviously pollution is bad. Obviously fossil fuels suck, in my opinion, too. There's so much real technology that's real green that you're not hearing about, because
they can use cold fusion. We'll never need fuel again.
Exactly. They're suppressing the real green technology and putting fake green technology and carbon tax credits, and trying to convince us we're all in this together to be guilty, so that we don't realize it's a bigger problem.
If they change us to electric, there is no way that the grid system of this earth could withstand the usage that's going to be there.
Well, especially the way they're doing it, because we have other scientist friends that made other devices they're trying to get out there, but I can't go too much into that right now. But there are other real water devices. We can put water in there. Only vapor is water vapor, and it's much more efficient than regular gasoline. That's been every time they've been out there, they've taken out the scientists. But there are people we know about who are working on that now that have actual models of it working, and there are other devices like that tap into 0-point energy. There's another friend of mine. They're actually trying to get funding for it now. They made a battery recharger, but a whole different principle. And so that they can literally wake up all the dead batteries that are out there that are non-rechargeable. They can wake them all up.
Is that the Tesla technology
of
the electronics?
The scientist friend of mine they discovered the Tesla principle and made it very simple, and make it size scalable, so they can actually also plug it into electric vehicles to be able to use part of the charge of the battery that's in there. They can loop it back to recharge the whole battery. without any additional input.
Without using electricity.
Without, they
expending
can
it.
actually use what's there and amplify the effect.
So I always said that.
Which that's more a lot. That's more.
Why weren't the Tesla cars built with a magneto?
Yeah.
Because the magneto would continuously charge that battery as it moved. Why didn't they do that? A magneto is something from back in the 40s and 50s. They didn't have alternators. They're magnetos.
You know, we had mentioned earlier that maybe someone in the audience has a question.
Sorry,
for
we got sidetracked.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think some things I mentioned probably answered some questions, but we'll see about other ones.
Okay.
So the question was, she said, why do the negative ETs want to hurt the Earth or humanity? Well, it's not so much. Well, like a couple layers to go into that one, right? No, because it has to do with the very nature of like light versus dark, or what the law of one book's called, like service to self versus service to others. If you're dealing with a group of beings, a group of souls that evolved or ascended in the dark side, because there's a negative ascension, it's not just positive ascension. The negative ascension goes up a little bit more, but the positive goes all the way, it doesn't stop. So in terms of negative ascension, these are souls that have evolved on the dark path, so to speak. And so for them, they see love as a weakness. They're not in touch with the heart or love at all. That's why they work with the symbolism like the black sun so much. A lot of these negative ET groups and dark esoteric orders, because for them the black sun is it's what takes, and it's like a vampiric effect, as opposed to a sun that gives out unconditional love. So for them, it's almost like having a drug addict, where you need more of a higher fix. You have to have a higher dosage of the drug, and you get more desensitized, and then you get more psychopathic or more sociopathic because of that. And then you need something more wild to get you feeling something, anything, right? So there is a level of that's kind of built into these groups where they get on power trips, and and you have whole planets that are built around that energy. And it's not just this. So like with the for example, with the reptilian group, but each of their home worlds, it's not just the environment, it's not just a group of beings that are there. The school, the planet itself is a school for that consciousness. So the problem, though, is that these planets that are supporting negative, higher dimensional beings, the planet itself holds a dark energy that's opposite of our positive ascended worlds. So
Isn't that needed to be a balance?
Well, this isn't balance because the light worlds outnumber the negative worlds by 10 to 1 from what we hear. But the thing is that, for example, there are certain worlds where there are negative parasitic energies, where for example, there's one that's like the real alien vampire group that inspired most of the original vampire stories here, is from Cassiopeia constellation. And Mephisto, who was made famous by the name of devil from that what's his name again? The most basic during the Shakespeare time with Faust, with the devil, name of devil Mephisto. That's really the name of this. I call it the Cassiopeia Mephisto group. They're a humanoid group, but that's the real Dracula. He's really Mephisto, who's fifth dimensional. But when I started seeing and dealing with that group, and they were nasty, some of their covens down here. But the planet itself is like a vampiric planet, where they literally have like an energetic root system that goes out the planet, and the negative ETs will try to bring those energy lines to other planets that they want to harvest energy from. So it becomes like a parasite, planetary parasite.
It's a parasite.
That the humanoids there are like the spawn of it, and they literally go out to try to build a bigger network of that. So you get into like crazy.
It's kind of like the Borg.
Yeah, but it's more, but there's more free will because they're individual souls, Yeah, instead of the AI, we have to go back to the AI too. So when you're dealing with that kind of mentality, they also distort the idea of bringing order out of chaos, which you see that terminology used by so many different secret societies, Illuminati. So sometimes they think we have to create more chaos, and then we offer the solution to bring order, because we need to bring order to all this, all this ambivalence, all this uncertainty.
People sign on, because the drones, as I call them, they sign on.
We have to control this dimension because it's for your highest good, and it's not, But it's that distortion of them being a false paternal figure, right? So in terms of hurting, there is an inherent. Some groups are more masochistic than others. Some really get kicks out of that. Some want to do that to show people, look, it's like Darwinism applied to spirituality. Some of these vampire groups I know of, they kind of literally call it predatory spirituality, where it's like survival of the strongest over the weak. So you're either the predator or you're the prey. So that's their mentality, especially because they're not in the heart center. So if you're looking at that lens, if they're seeing reality through that lens, imagine all the screwed up things they're going to be doing.
Yeah, right? My goodness gracious, frightening, right?
So
The question a lot of people ask me.
and tree of death versus tree of life too. This is part of that.
The inverted tree.
So what's happening in Israel right now too? There's a big thing with Set Group in Israel, where they're harvesting energy from dying, killing Palestinians. Their Set Group and Series B are harvesting that energy. They're trying to create a stronger inverted tree of death in Israel-Palestine to support their invasion timeline. Literally, that's part of a higher esoteric stuff that's going on there. So it's much bigger. It's like the opposite of the Christ, Mary, higher Kabbalistic tree of life.
Yeah.
They're literally trying to create a negative relay from the.
People,
we're going to be working on that one too.
They ask me all the time. I'm sure you heard it too, Mary. Where is God in all of this? Where is God in all of this?
That's
He's
a
the
good
creator
question.
of all of them,
Yeah.
good or bad.
Sure.
Where is God in all of this?
Well, he's in all of us, right?
Watching.
Well, he is in all of us. I'm not. Listen, I
He's
know that.
watching.
Yes.
That's what he's doing.
Listen,
Well-
if he's watching, it's a bad ball game. Change the channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get out of this.
No, I agree. I agree. There's definitely that goes to the much deeper discussion, because the fine line between when free will was created by the creator to animate each part of itself in order to create new experiences, so that the creator would know itself from all different angles, all different expressions, right? So that one infinite creator allowed parts of itself to create other experiences, right? And other which created whole galaxies, whole different dimensions, kind of like local creator aspects, So the problem is that some of that gets a bit out of hand, but also because there are parameters that the creator made, right? For our dimension, this part also, Law of One Books can be great to expand on, is like the idea of the veil of forgetfulness that is created on third dimension, was more of a unique condition that was created in our recent universe, in this universe that's X amount of billions years old. Before, in previous universe creations, that wasn't the case. Everybody knew they were one and were connected to this.
Yes.
Was this stuff going on I guess we call it a sister planet, the one that blew up? All right?
Oh, of course.
People ask me.
The Anunnaki came in there and messed things up too.
There's no life. There's no life on Venus. I said, yes,
It's
there
higher
is.
dimensional. Well, because like fifth, sixth dimensional. So yeah, you're
I
not going to
said,
see. It's not 3D people walking around.
No, when I told them, I said, yes, there is. Oh, they would die if they had to breathe that gas. I said, you ever think that breathe that gas is their oxygen?
Yeah.
You ever think that? I said, and there's Martians.
Plus,
Right.
beyond the physical body, you're dealing
That's
with
right. They
higher
don't-
planes of existence.
they don't understand.
They can materialize
Yeah.
physically if they want to, but the point is that whole realms of whole dimensions, whole groups of beings exist on these, 4th, 5th, 6th dimensional realms. That interpenetrate our realms, but it's independent of it.
All right, we got 5 minutes, Stephen. So
there's a lot going on here. It's sure AI story about your leg too. That's right.
okay.
Quickly.
I called up. I have had for the last a month.
Yeah.
I could not straighten out my right leg. It was tremendous pain. It felt like most people say bone on bone. I don't think I had that, but I thought that there has to be something more. I was doing healings on it. Mary was sending healings. Everybody was sending healings, right? And I'm talking to Stephen about coming on to the show, and I said to him, listen, can you take a look at this leg? He does his thing, He's doing his thing. He's making his sounds and everything else, and I'm sitting there.
That's what he's telling me.
And
On the phone.
Yeah, and at the end of all of this, now my wife has seen me in this tremendous pain. All right, all of a sudden I'm doing knee bends. It's like the calf muscle released and the hamstring released, and the knee is doing a little clicking, but I can walk. You see me walking around town. I can walk again and climb stairs where I was dying going up and down stairs. He did that, all right?
Well,
he says to me,
the angels
now
working
tell
through,
him, tell him what you did.
Well, and that was like a 10, 15-minute process too. We didn't do it. That wasn't.
Okay, we can't do it. We only have 5 minutes.
No. I'm saying the actual thing on the phone with you was only
yeah.
short, because normally I do like hour and a half sessions with people, but I was doing. I went to like a quick scan, and I saw he had alien artificial intelligence energies in his field. He had a cord implant, like his crown chakra, a root chakra.
The neck thing.
He had well, I talked about in a previous show with it too. But like they call it a remote access remote access. Remote access quantum interface or quantum port. Yeah, I forgot the exact term now.
Port. It was
So basically it looks like a little port that they make out of your own energy body material in the back of the neck that they try to plug into you
So they can drain it.
remotely to their quantum computer systems. And then they had a meshwork wrapped around his. Oh no, it was not meshwork. Sorry, it looked like a clear plastic like enclosure around his whole knee with like little like astral wires, like almost like a computer chip that was squeezing his knee and trying to hook his knee up into their remote electronic systems in Kansas. They're based in Kansas. So the angels are coming in very specific, like usually Safkiel, Saturn comes in to cut any chords from the crown chakra, Gabriel or Michael from the root. And then we worked on a few other ones. So we, with the angels channeled. And so we popped it off his knee, on the phone. I'm like, so I could see it coming off. I'm like, that's the main thing, creating a friggin' knee problem.
That's right.
And he also had an implant in his shin above his ankle also.
That
so we popped those two
one's
off.
completely gone.
And that's a beautiful thing too, because I've had other people like that too, where they have pains going on for a long time in their stomach or headaches, and we pop off these alien implants. All of a sudden, no more headaches, no more stomach pain, and they were going to doctors, not figuring out what's going on. So this stuff is very physical. It's not just airy fairy, talk. This is creating a lot of physical repercussions and emotionally for people. That they realize that and make the declarations. We're making boundaries because half of this stuff exists because people aren't aware of it, and they need to establish boundaries and say we don't consent to this exploitation. We don't consent to having our energy being commodified due to trade deals our governments made with these groups.
Oh, yeah.
That starts a basic building block of your boundary and your sovereignty. So, we're here to be sovereign love vessels for our galactic positive communities to come through us, and Gaia's ascending family to help us. Yeah. And we're the bridge, right, between ascending Gaia and
descending. We're the glue that holds
descending.
the whole thing together.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. With
Anyway,
this,
that's a great finale.
we are going to call an end to this show. We have 1 minute. I'm getting from the man in the booth. 1 or 2? 1, 2?
1, 2, yeah.
2.
It's like a Gemini.
Bunny ears? What is that?
It's a Gemini.
2 minutes.
Bunny ears.
He's
No,
telling you, 2 minutes.
We have 1 minute. All right. We'd like
Gotta
to thank
add
our,
two.
our studio guests for coming here.
That's so funny.
And our show guests tonight, Stephen and Christine. Next month, we will have Roland Budahawk.
Yes. And Josephine.
And Josephine.
Josephine. I can't wait to see her. I haven't
Yeah, it's
seen
been
her
a long
in
time.
a long time.
She's going to be coming back onto the show, and
Yeah.
that will be a wonderful experience.
And then the following month,
Okay?
we're having
The
Joanne
yeah.
Reinhardt, who is going to be playing the crystal bowls for the audience and doing a meditation.
All right.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
beautiful.
let's say goodnight to everybody. Stephen's
you.
information, you can get it from us, just contact us.
Yeah, also
We'll
on,
give
on,
it to
on
you.
YouTube.
He's on YouTube.
I'll just look up. I'm the only one with my name on social media, so you know how to spell it right.
He's the only one who can say his name. Okay?
That was good. That was good.
All right.
finally can.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for
Blessings.
watching.
Happy full moon,
Good
too.
night. Yeah. Full moon.
August with the bowls?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you for a big favor because that's my 25th anniversary.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Wow, amazing. That's wow.